Michael stood in the driveway of what used to be his home, his mouth hanging open in disbelief. The gate was unlocked, swinging gently in the afternoon breeze. The garage empty, both cars gone. He rushed to the front door, key trembling in his hand. Inside, the silence hit him like a physical blow. The living room was stripped bare. No furniture, no curtains. Even the light fixtures had been removed, leaving bare bulbs and exposed wires. His footsteps echoed on the naked floors as he ran from room to room. Everything gone. "Michael, what's happening?" Gloria whined behind him, her designer heels clicking on the empty floor. "Where is everything? I thought you said this was your house." His phone buzzed. Then again. And again. 12 missed calls from his mother. 5 from the bank. 3 from the car dealership. His hands shook as he answered his mother's call. "Michael, there are men at my door." Mama Beatrice's voice was frantic. "They say the facility hasn't been paid in 2 months. They're discharging me. What's going on?" The phone nearly slipped from his grip. "Mama, I'll call you back. The bank is calling about the mortgage. Your brother says." He hung up. His mind reeled, trying to make sense of the devastation around him. Then his phone pinged with a message from an unknown number. "You wanted to start fresh. So am I. Everything you thought was yours was actually mine. I built your life. Now you have exactly what you earned. Nothing." "Hannah." Michael's knees buckled. Hannah. His wife. No, his ex-wife as of 3 weeks ago. "Before we continue, let me ask you something quietly. Where are you listening from right now? And what time is it in your part of the world?" Some of us are hearing this story under the hot afternoon sun. Some in the calm of the night, when thoughts are heavy and hearts are open. Different places, one story, one lesson. If stories like this speak to your heart, please subscribe to the channel. Your like helps this story reach another soul. Your comment tells me you understand the lesson. And when you share, you may be saving someone from the same mistake. Now let us continue. 3 weeks earlier, Hannah had returned home from visiting her sick aunt to find Michael sitting on the sofa, his face cold and distant. She'd sensed something wrong for months, but tonight felt different. "Final. We need to talk," he said without looking up from his phone. She set down her bag slowly. "I'm listening. I want you gone before I return from my business trip. 2 weeks. That should be enough time for you to pack your things and find somewhere else to stay." The words hit her like ice water. "Michael, what are you?" "I'm starting fresh with Gloria." He finally looked at her, his eyes hard. "I've outgrown this marriage, Hannah. 7 years, and what do we have to show for it? No children. No excitement. Nothing. You've given me nothing." Hannah's heart hammered in her chest, but her face remained still. "This is sudden." "It's not sudden. I've been unhappy for years." He stood up, pacing. "This is my house. My life. You've been living off me long enough. It's time for both of us to move on." She stared at him, this man she'd loved, sacrificed for, built up in silence. "Living off you?" "Yes. I'm the one who works, who provides. You sit at home on your laptop doing your little freelance projects." His voice dripped with contempt. "Gloria is successful, ambitious. She understands what it means to be a partner to a man like me." Hannah's jaw tightened. 7 years of swallowing her pride, of letting him believe he was the provider while her 6-figure consulting income funded their entire lifestyle. 7 years of protecting his ego while he strutted around like a king in a castle she built brick by brick. "Are you absolutely certain this is what you want?" Her voice was unnaturally calm. The calmness seemed to anger him more. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life." 2 weeks, Hannah. Make the arrangements." She nodded slowly, her face unreadable. "Then I'll make the arrangements." As she turned toward the bedroom, Michael smirked at her retreating figure, already texting Gloria the good news. He didn't see the steel that had entered his wife's spine, or the quiet determination in her eyes. He had no idea what he'd just set in motion. Michael couldn't contain his excitement. The next morning, while Hannah was out, he brought Gloria to see the house. She walked through the rooms with acquisitive eyes, already redecorating in her mind. "It's smaller than I imagined," she said, touching the expensive curtains Hannah had chosen. "But we can upgrade once we're married. Maybe move to one of those estates in Lekki." Michael pulled her close, kissing her neck. Anything for you, baby. Once Hannah is gone, this will all be ours. And you're sure she can't make trouble? No claim to the house or anything. He laughed. It's all in my name. She has nothing. Never has. What Michael didn't know was that across town, Hannah sat in her Aunt Linda's modest living room, finally breaking down. Linda held her niece as years of silent suffering poured out. Why didn't you tell anyone? Linda asked, her own voice thick with emotion. Why did you let them all think he was providing for you? Hannah wiped her eyes. I loved him, Auntie. I thought if I was humble enough, supportive enough, he would eventually see me, value me. I thought I was being a good wife. By letting him humiliate you? By protecting his pride. Hannah's voice cracked. His salary barely covers his car payments and social expenses. My consulting work pays for everything else. The mortgage. The cars. His mother's private care facility. His brother Peter's university fees. Everything. Linda gasped. Mama Beatrice's medical bills? That's over 200,000 naira monthly. 250, Hannah corrected quietly. Plus the facility costs. Michael doesn't even know. He thinks his salary covers it because I quietly transfer money to his account before the bills are due. Jesus, Hannah. I kept spreadsheets, Auntie. Documentation of every payment, every transfer, every bill I've paid for 7 years. Hannah's voice grew stronger. I thought I was building our future together. But he sees me as a burden. As nothing. Linda gripped her niece's hands. What are you going to do? Hannah's eyes, red from crying, now held something else. Resolution. I'm going to give him exactly what he asked for. A fresh start. His own life built by his own hands. Over the next 10 days, Hannah moved with quiet precision. She visited lawyers, banks, and accountants. She made phone calls in hushed tones. She packed her personal belongings, not the furniture she'd bought, not the appliances she'd purchased, not the decorations she'd chosen, just her clothes, her laptop, her documents. Michael's brother Peter visited one afternoon. He found Hannah in the kitchen, boxing up the few items that were truly hers. Hannah, I'm so sorry, Peter said, his voice heavy with shame. My brother is a fool. She smiled sadly. You're a good man, Peter. You've always treated me with respect. He doesn't deserve you. He never did. Peter hesitated. Hannah, I need you to know, I know what you've done for me. My education, the money you sent when I was struggling. Michael never helped me. It was always you. Tears welled in Hannah's eyes. You were the only one who ever saw me as family. What will happen to my school fees? He asked quietly. I'm not asking for myself, I can find a way. I just need to know. Hannah handed him an envelope. Your final year is paid. That's separate from everything else. You've worked hard, Peter. You deserve to finish. Peter's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. And Hannah? Whatever you're planning. He deserves it. The day before Michael's departure, Hannah made her final arrangements. She sat in a lawyer's office, signing document after document. With each signature, she dismantled the life she'd built. Not with anger, with purpose. Michael kissed Gloria at the airport, both of them giddy with excitement. A week at a luxury beach resort in Zanzibar. He charged it to his credit card without a second thought. By the time the bill came due, Hannah would be gone and he'd handle it somehow. I can't believe we're finally free, Gloria whispered, clinging to his arm. The start of our new life, baby. As their plane took off, Hannah was already executing her plan. She'd left the house that morning before dawn, taking only what was hers. But she'd left something behind. A single sheet of paper on the kitchen counter. A list. The list detailed every payment she'd made for 7 years. The mortgage, her account. The car loans, her account. Mama Beatrice's facility, her account. The furniture, the appliances, the improvements, all purchased by her. Even Michael's expensive suits and watches. Gifts she'd bought to maintain his image at work. She'd attached bank statements, receipts, and transfer records. Documentation he'd been too arrogant to ever look for. Then she began making calls. Hello, this is Hannah Okonkwo. I need to cancel my automatic mortgage payment effective immediately. Good morning. I'm calling about the vehicle loans for the 2 cars registered to this address. I'm the primary payer and I'm discontinuing payments. Yes, regarding account number 2479. I'm the account holder. I need to stop all transfers to Mr. Michael Okonkwo's account. This is about the premium care package for Beatrice Okonkwo. I'm withdrawing my sponsorship of her care. One by one, she dismantled the infrastructure of Michael's life. Not with vengeance. With the simple act of stopping the payments, stopping the transfers, stopping the silent labor that had kept his world turning. She arranged for the furniture she'd purchased to be moved to storage. Every couch, bed, television, and appliance. All of it legally hers with receipts to prove it. By noon, she'd signed the papers removing her name from all joint assets, proving to the institutions that she was the primary income source. The house, in Michael's name alone, would soon face foreclosure without her payments. The cars would be repossessed. Finally, she sent a message to Michael's phone from a temporary number she'd acquired. You wanted to start fresh. So am I. Everything you thought was yours was actually mine. I built your life. Now you have exactly what you earned, nothing. Hannah. Then she blocked his number, changed her own and walked away. Michael was lounging on a beach chair, cocktail in hand, when his phone began buzzing. He glanced at Hannah's message and laughed, showing it to Gloria. Can you believe this? She's so bitter. He deleted the message. Typical woman, can't accept when it's over. Pathetic, Gloria agreed, sipping her mojito. But 20 minutes later his phone rang. The bank. He ignored it. Then the mortgage company. Then the car dealership. Then another unknown number. And another. What the hell? He listened to his voicemail. His face went from annoyed to confused to pale. Michael? Gloria asked. What's wrong? He was already dialing his bank. The conversation was short and devastating. What do you mean my account is frozen? His voice rose, drawing stares from nearby tourists. No, I don't understand. Hannah can't just. She what? He hung up and immediately called the mortgage company. Then the car loan servicer. Each call brought worse news. I need to go home, he said suddenly, standing up. What? Michael, we just got here. Gloria, we need to leave. Now. They caught the next flight back, Michael's hands shaking as he scrolled through dozens of missed calls and messages. Each one a hammer blow. Each one revealing a piece of the truth he'd been too blind to see. By the time they landed in Lagos 30 hours later, Michael's entire world had collapsed. And he still didn't fully understand why. Not until he walked into that empty house. The foreclosure notice was taped to the front door. Michael ripped it down, his hands trembling as he read the words. Non-payment of mortgage for 60 days. But that was impossible. The mortgage was always paid. It was automatic. It was Hannah. He sank onto the floor of the empty living room, the paper crumpling in his fist. Gloria stood in the doorway, her face twisted with disgust and disbelief. You told me you owned this house. I do own it, he shouted. It's in my name. Then why is it being foreclosed? Her voice was sharp, accusing. And where are all the cars? The furniture? Michael, what's happening? His phone rang again. Mama Beatrice. He couldn't avoid her anymore. Mama. Michael, what have you done? His mother's voice was shaking with fury and fear. The facility called. They're discharging me tomorrow. 2 months of unpaid bills. 250,000 naira. How could you let this happen? Mama, I didn't know. You didn't know? You didn't know? I'm your mother. And Peter called crying because his school fees haven't been paid and he might not graduate. Her voice broke. What is happening to our family? It's Hannah, he said desperately. She did something. Hannah? That sweet girl who never said a bad word about you? Who visited me every week at the facility? Who always brought me my favorite snacks? Mama Beatrice's voice turned cold. What did you do to her, Michael? He couldn't answer. Within hours, Peter arrived at the house, his face hard. He looked at the emptiness, at Gloria standing awkwardly by the door, and his jaw tightened. She paid for everything, didn't she? Peter said quietly. Michael's silence was answer enough. My school fees. Mama's medical care. This house. The cars. Everything. Peter stepped closer, his voice rising. Hannah paid for my entire education, Michael. Every single term. When I couldn't afford books, she sent money. When I needed a laptop, she bought it. Not you. You never helped me. Not once. Peter, I can explain. You can't explain anything. Peter's voice cracked. She was family to me. She was the only one who ever treated me like I mattered. And you threw her away. He shook his head in disgust. You threw away a queen for. He glanced at Gloria with contempt. For a pebble. How dare you? Gloria snapped. How dare I? Peter laughed bitterly. You thought you were getting a rich man. Joke's on both of you. My brother has nothing. He is nothing. Hannah was his whole life, and he was too stupid to see it. Peter turned to leave, then paused. Don't call me again, Michael. You're not my brother anymore. Over the following weeks, the full scope of the disaster became clear. Without Hannah's income, the mortgage went into default. The cars were repossessed. The credit cards she'd been paying off were suddenly his sole responsibility. Debts he couldn't manage. Mama Beatrice was moved to Peter's small apartment, her disappointment in Michael so profound she refused to speak to him. Gloria left within a week when she realized the truth. You're broke, she said flatly, standing at the door of the cheap hotel room he'd been forced to rent. You lied to me about everything. I didn't lie. I just didn't know. You didn't know your own wife was supporting you? Gloria's laugh was cruel. You're pathetic, Michael. A grown man living off his wife's money while playing big man. I don't date broke losers. She walked out without looking back. Word spread through their church, their neighborhood, their social circles. The story was too dramatic, too shocking to stay quiet. Michael became a cautionary tale whispered at wedding receptions and family gatherings. Did you hear about Michael Okonkwo? His wife was paying for everything, and he didn't even know. He kicked her out for his mistress, not knowing she was the one funding his entire life. They say his mother disowned him. Can you imagine? At work, the scandal followed him. His concentration shattered. His performance plummeted. His boss called him in. Michael, I'm afraid we have to let you go. Your personal situation has become disruptive. He lost his job, his reputation, his family, his dignity. He tried to find Hannah, called her old number, searched social media, even went to her aunt's house. Aunt Linda answered the door with cold eyes. She's gone, Michael. Gone where you'll never find her. You told her to disappear, so she obeyed. You should be grateful. She could have destroyed you in the courts. Instead, she simply stopped holding you up. Linda's voice was steel. You're experiencing gravity now. How does it feel? The door closed in his face. 6 months later, Michael sat in the cramped studio apartment he could barely afford. Bills surrounded him on the cheap table, all red, all overdue. He'd found work as a junior clerk, making less than a quarter of what he used to earn. His boss was younger than him. It was humiliating. But the worst part was the silence. Mama Beatrice had disowned him. She lived with Peter now, her health declining, and she refused to see Michael. You're no son of mine, she'd said the last time he tried to visit. What you did to that girl. Throwing away the only person who truly cared for our family. I'm ashamed to have raised you. Peter helped him occasionally with basic necessities, some food, a little money, but maintained cold distance. I do this because Mama asked me to make sure you don't starve, Peter said the last time they met. Not because you're my brother. You stopped being my brother when you treated Hannah like trash. One Sunday, Michael sat in the back pew of the church where he and Hannah had been married. He'd stopped coming regularly. The stares and whispers were too much, but today he felt desperate for something. Forgiveness. Understanding. Anything. After the service, someone tapped his shoulder. It was Sister Margaret, one of the church elders who'd known them both well. Michael, she said gently, I thought you should know. Hannah is engaged. The word stabbed through him. Engaged. I have a niece who works at the UN office in Nairobi. She saw Hannah there. She's thriving, Michael. Senior consultant position. And she's marrying a colleague. Someone who values her. Sister Margaret's eyes were kind but firm. She's happy. Finally happy. Michael could barely breathe. I need to talk to her. To apologize. She's moved on, Michael. She's built a new life, one where she's celebrated instead of invisible. Sister Margaret squeezed his shoulder. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is let people go. Michael tried anyway. He wrote letters, pages and pages of apologies, regrets, pleas for forgiveness. He sent them to every possible address he could find. They all came back marked return to sender. He created new social media accounts to search for her. Blocked on every platform. He called her old office, her former colleagues. They'd all been instructed not to share her information. Hannah had erased him completely from her life. And she had every right to. One evening Michael walked past the old house. A new family lived there now, a young couple with 2 small children. The wife was in the garden, planting roses in the same spot where Hannah used to tend her flowers. She looked up and waved, friendly and unknowing. Beautiful evening, isn't it? Michael nodded, unable to speak, and kept walking. He returned to the pastor who had counseled them before their marriage, hoping for, he didn't know what, answers. Absolution. Pastor David listened to Michael's story. The regrets, the desperate desire to make amends, the crushing weight of his loss. Do you know what Hannah asked me a year before you left her? Pastor David said finally. She asked if staying would ever change you. If her love, her sacrifice, her humility would ever make you see her worth. What did you tell her? Michael whispered. I told her only you could decide who you'd become. That she couldn't change you. Only reveal opportunities for you to change yourself. The pastor's eyes were sad. You chose who you would be, Michael. Every day for 7 years you chose not to see her. Not to value her. Not to be worthy of her. I didn't know what I had. That's the tragedy. Pastor David leaned forward. She showed you every single day. Through her actions, her sacrifice, her quiet strength. You just refused to see. You mistook her humility for weakness. Her love for foolishness. Michael's face crumpled. Is there any way back? Any way to fix this? Pastor David was quiet for a long moment. Some doors once closed remain locked forever. Some mistakes don't offer second chances. This is one of them. Michael walked through the city streets that night, past the restaurants where he used to take Gloria, past the bank where Hannah had quietly managed their entire financial life, past the church where they'd vowed to love and cherish each other. He thought about Hannah, not the shadow he'd ignored, but the woman she truly was. Brilliant, strong, generous. She had held his world together with invisible threads, and he'd never once looked closely enough to see them, until they were cut. The last time Michael saw his mother was at Peter's graduation. She sat in the front row, tears streaming down her face as Peter received his degree. Michael stood at the back, uninvited but unable to stay away. As the ceremony ended, Mama Beatrice turned and their eyes met across the crowd. For a moment he thought he saw something there. Not forgiveness but acknowledgement. Then she turned away. Peter found him afterward. You shouldn't be here. I just wanted to congratulate you. Hannah would be proud. She already knows, Peter said quietly. She sent flowers and a card. From Nairobi. He paused. She still cares about our family, Michael. Just not about you. Now Michael sits alone in his studio apartment as rain pounds against the window. On his phone is a photo, the only one he kept, of their wedding day. Hannah smiling, radiant, full of hope. And him beside her, already looking past the camera, his attention elsewhere. Even then he hadn't really seen her. He finally understands what he lost. Not just a wife, not just financial stability, not just his family's respect. He lost someone who would have walked through fire for him. Someone who had built him up when he was nothing and asked for nothing in return except to be valued. And he had thrown her away like garbage. Some lessons come too late. Some consequences can never be undone. Some doors, once you walk through them, seal shut behind you forever. Michael would spend the rest of his life knowing he had held a treasure in his hands and traded it for fool's gold. He would grow old with that knowledge, with that regret, with the understanding that he'd destroyed his own future with his own hands. Somewhere across the continent, Hannah was building a new life. And he would never be part of it again. This was his fresh start. This was what he'd earned. This was justice. Empty, alone, and permanent.